Hi, third grade. So, welcome to Tuesday. Maybe it's Taco Tuesday for some of you. That sounds delicious. We're going to get started with our math lesson, and you're going to need a couple of things from the packet that I sent home to you. You're going to need this paper where I've photocopied some rulers, unless you have your own ruler. If you have your own ruler, that might be easier to use. And we are also going to be using some grid paper today. Okay, so that's all in your packet, so you can take those two things out to use. You don't really need to cut out the rulers. What you can do is just fold along the edge for the centimeters and fold along the edge of the other one for the inches. Okay, so we're going to go to page 631, and we're measuring perimeter. And if we remember, yesterday we learned that perimeter is the distance around a figure. So it's the distance, the measurement going around something, like a picture frame or a door frame, or fencing that goes around your garden. So on page 631, it says, you can estimate and measure perimeter in standard units, such as inches and centimeters. It says, find the perimeter of the cover of a notebook. Use an inch rule. Estimate the perimeter of a notebook in inches. So here I have this notebook. And I'm thinking, let's see, I think it's about 7 or 8 inches, say 8 inches and 10 inches maybe. 8 inches and 10 inches. So I'm thinking, if this is 8, this is 8. So 8 plus 8, I'm going to write that down, 8 plus 8. And then I think this is 10 plus 10, plus 10 plus 10. So these are compatible numbers. 10 plus 10, we know, is 20. 8 plus 8 is 16. 20 plus 16 more is 36. I think it's about 36 inches all the way around. Now I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to use the inches. Remember, the inches are farther spaced. Okay, so they start with 0 over here and they go to 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our inches side of our ruler. When I start, I'm going to lay my ruler down. This little white edge is extra, and I want to start here at 0. And I go all the way across, and I am at 7.5 inches. So that's pretty close to 8. And it said about, so that means I don't have to be exact. So in my book, I know the top and the bottom are 8. So I'm going to write 8 plus 8. Go ahead and write that in your book. 8 plus 8. Now let's see if I was very close on the sides. So I lay my ruler down again. Oh, I've got a problem. I got to flip it upside down. There we go. So now I'm on the edge here, but I've got 8 inches here. I'm going to make a little mark right here. I made a little mark on my notebook right here. You can hardly see it. And I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to remember that I was at 8. And now I've got, look at there. about 2 more inches, 10 inches. So I'm going to write 8 plus 8 plus 10 plus 10, 10, 20, and 16 more, 36. I think we did a pretty good estimate. Now it says use an inch ruler to find the length of each side at the bottom of the page. So let's lay down our inch ruler on one of these edges. Let's do the bottom. And it's 2 inches. So I'm going to write 2. That's the bottom. And if the bottom is 2, what is the top? It's 2 also. Then I'm going to just turn my book like this, and I'm going to measure this with my inches. Well, if I look, it's about 1 inch. So 1 inch plus 1 inch. 2 plus 2 is 4, 5, 6. So the perimeter of this figure is 6 inches. I'll write it down here in my final answer. The perimeter is about 6 inches. Now the next one says use a centimeter ruler to find the length of each side. So now I'm going to be folding my sheet like this, and here we see lots of numbers. They're spaced much more closely. That's our centimeter side. Centimeters are spaced much more closely than inches. So one thing you'll notice is, and I just realized this when I copied this, I started at 0 on my inches, but I didn't start at 0 on my centimeters. I started at, right here is where we're going to start. So I'm going to put a line here. And we're going to call this 0. So from here to here is 1, 2, 3. So when I lay that down on my figure, this is kind of hard to do. I see that I have 1, 2, 3 centimeters. Can you see that? It's 3 centimeters across. So if the top is 3 centimeters, I know the bottom is 3 centimeters. Now the side sure looks the same, but just to be sure, I'm going to measure it. Let's see. 1, 2, 3 centimeters. So each side is 3 centimeters. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9, plus 3 is 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. 3 times 4 sides is 12. 12 centimeters. Okay, I want you to practice on those other pages, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on the homework page on page 635. On the first picture it says, use a ruler to find the perimeter. Well, they already did it for us, and they wrote down all the measurements. And so you see that the top is not the same as the bottom. The 2 sides are the same. So we have 4 plus 2, that's our top and bottom, plus 3 plus 3. Well, 4 plus 2 is 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12 centimeters. You're going to do the same for this. I'm going to help with that one. This one is centimeters. So let's see, from here to here is 1. These are each 1. 1, 1. I'm going to measure this one. So I lay it down where my 0 should be, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters here. I'm going to let you measure this and this, fill them in, add them all together, and write your final answer. Let's go to number 3. It says draw a picture. Here we've got our grid paper. Evan has a square sticker that measures 5 inches on each side. What is the perimeter of the sticker? You're going to measure by counting units. So each one of these is going to be 1. Remember, we don't count 1, 2, 3. We're counting across. So we're going to go across 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Across 5, up 5. So now you've drawn his square. You now need to count how many units all the way around the perimeter and write that in for your answer. Number 4, Sophie draws a shape that has 6 sides. Each side is 3 centimeters. What is the perimeter of the shape? Do you have to draw that, or could you use addition, repeated addition, or multiplication? If you want, you can try to draw that picture, or you can use repeated addition or multiplication. Number 5 says draw 2 different figures that each have a perimeter of 20 units. You're going to use this paper and you're going to draw me. They don't have to be rectangles, they don't have to be squares, but they can be. Let's go on to the next page. Ty cut a label the size of the shape shown. What is the perimeter in inches? So we're going to use our inch ruler. Remember, that's the one with more units, or bigger spread out units. So we're going to lay our ruler down there and we're going to measure, and then we're going to add it up and give our final answer. Number 2, Julie drew the shape shown below. What is the perimeter in inches of her shape? Then, number 3 says, what is the perimeter of the shape below? Now, this is review because we learned how to do this yesterday. So we're counting these units. 1, 2, all the way around. Number 4, Vince arrives for his trumpet lesson after school at the time shown on the clock. What time does Vince arrive for his trumpet lesson? Now remember, if the hour hand has not yet gotten to the 4, then it's 3 something. Number 5, Matthew's small fish tank holds 12 liters. In science, we measured volume using liters. Remember, we filled the cylinder with water and then we dropped some marbles in. So liters are how we measure the liquid. So he has a large fish tank and a small fish tank. The small holds 12 liters. The large holds 25 liters. I'm going to circle those numbers because those are important. And then it asks, how many more liters does his large fish tank hold? When we hear how many more or how many less, we're looking for how they are different. And the difference is the answer to a what kind of problem? Are we going to add or subtract to find how they are different? How much more or how much less? Last problem, it says compare. Write greater than, less than, or equal. I still have a few people who are getting this a little bit mixed up, and they're thinking maybe, now we have the same numerator, and so they might think, well, 6 is a bigger number than 4, so of course 1/6. But remember, we're not talking about bigger or smaller when we're talking about fractions. We're talking about 2 equal-sized candy bars. One is cut into 6 equal pieces. One is cut into 4 equal pieces. Now, if you like candy bars, can you tell which one would give you the bigger piece? If you're still getting some of those wrong, if you're still getting confused with those, make sure that you are drawing pictures.